With Tettsui Komekami, as the name suggests, we're aiming at the temple. This is a very sensitive area of the skull because the skull bone is very thin there. When we hit there with Tettsui, that is, with this part of the fist, we make sure not to smash in with full force, but rather use a snapping motion so that a shock is created, which then has the greatest effect right at that point. So how do we do that? We chamber the arm, just like for a Soto Uka. Bring the arm forward and add rotation from the body. And at the end, we place the Tettsui on the temple. I always imagine I'm holding a whip in my hand, and at the very end, I add that final whip crack. This whip-like snap then gives an extra impact that amplifies the effect. If I focus on that, I bring my arm forward, but I still don't have a proper Tettsui technique, and I try to keep the arm as relaxed as possible, so that at the end, I can build full tension in the arm and add that rotation. When I do it a bit faster, you can see the idea behind it more clearly, this whip principle. In the prep for Tettsui Komekami, we bring the striking fist well behind the head and lift the elbow, and the other fist is pointing toward the armpit. We also make sure that the elbow is not too low and not too high, but directed straight forward horizontally. That creates a kind of guard for the following strike. As I then launch the strike, I already have a preloaded rotational movement, which I then release and turn in the opposite direction. That gives me a bit of extra impact. 2. Make the strike as dynamic as possible. The final position of the Tettsui Komekami is such that the elbow is at roughly a 90-degree angle, so it's neither bent too much nor fully extended. When I execute the strike, I can comfortably extend the arm a bit further and then slightly pull it back at the end, so that the elbow moves from a position just over 90 degrees back to roughly 90 degrees. But don't overdo it, and don't throw a strike like this. That makes no sense. We want the impact to land right here on the temple, and I don't need a long motion for that.